George's first day at Playgroup. Peppa and George are going to Playgroup. It is George's first day, and Peppa doesn't really want him there. But when all of her friends want a little brother too, will Peppa change her mind? Find out in this lovely little piggy tale. Today is George's first day at Playgroup. Isn't Georgie too small for Playgroup? Asks Peppa. You can look after him, says Daddy Pig. Peppa isn't sure she wants George at her playgroup, but she likes the idea of looking after him. Are you sure George is big enough? Peppa asks when they arrive.
Yes, he will be fine,
replies Daddy Pig. Okay, he can come, says Peppa. She holds on to George's end. Grunt, grunt, snorts George, jumping up and down. Here is Madame Gazelle, Peppa's playgroup teacher. She looks after Peppa and her friends. Madame Gazelle tells the children that George is coming to play. The children are all very excited about meeting Peppa's little brother. This is my little brother George, cries Peppa. Grr, dinosaur, growls George. Everyone laughs. I wish I had a little brother like George, buzz Susie Sheep. George shakes his toy, Mr. Dinosaur, and Madame Gazelle. Grr, dinosaur! Ah, really scary, laughs Madame Gazelle. Peppa is proud of George making everyone laugh. George is my little brother. He's brilliant, she says. Shall we show George how we paint pictures? Madame Gazelle asks the children. George is not very good at painting, says Peppa, but I can show him how to paint a flower. Watch me, George, snorts Peppa. First, you paint a big circle. Peppa carefully dips her brush into a pot of pink paint and draws a big pink circle right in the middle of her paper. George draws a big green circle. No, George, that's the wrong color, snorts Peppa. Watch me. Peppa makes yellow petal shapes. George paints a green zigzag. George, that's the wrong shape, says Peppa. Peppa admires her flower painting. Perfect, she says happily. George is still painting. Instead of a stalk and leaves, he has painted another circle with 5 lines sticking out from it. You are doing it all wrong, says Peppa. I've painted a flower, says Peppa. Very good, Peppa, smiles Madame Gazelle. And look, George has painted a dinosaur. Madame Gazelle sticks Peppa and George's pictures on the wall. Now it is time to go home. What will you paint next time, George? Asks Madame Gazelle. Dinosaur, grrr, giggles George. Everyone laughs. Dentist trip. Peppa, George, and Mr. Dinosaur are going to the dentist. It's George's first visit and is a teeny bit nervous. Find out how the trip goes in this lovely little adventure. Every morning, Peppa and George brush their teeth. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Scrub, scrub, scrub. George, are your teeth as clean as mine? Peppa asks, showing off her clean white teeth.
You both have lovely clean teeth. I'm sure the dentist will be happy, calls out Daddy Pig.
Later that day, Peppa and George are at the dentist, waiting for their checkup.
It is George's first visit. Peppa, George, the dentist will see you now, says Miss Rabbit, the nurse. Hooray! They both cheer. This is Dr. Elephant, the dentist. Who's first? He asks. I'm first, replies Peppa. I'm a big girl. Watch me, George. Open wide, please, orders Dr. Elephant softly. Peppa opens her mouth as wide as she possibly can. Let's take a look, says the dentist, checking Peppa's teeth with the mirror. There, all done. What lovely clean teeth, cheers Dr. Elephant. Now you can have the special drink. Gurgle. Peppa spits the pink liquid out into the sink. It's George's turn next. George does not want it to be his turn, so the dentist lets him hold Mr. Dinosaur. All done. You have very strong, clean teeth, George, smiles Dr. Elephant. But wait, what is this? Cries Dr. Elephant. George has clean teeth, but this young dinosaur's teeth are very dirty. The water jet, please, Miss Rabbit, orders the dentist. He uses the water to clean Mr. Dinosaur's teeth. Slush, slush, slush. Pink, cries George, picking up a glass. That's right, George, says the dentist. Mr. Dinosaur needs some special pink drink. Gurgle, gurgle. Gosh, what shiny teeth you have, Mr. Dinosaur, cries Miss Rabbit. Dinosaur, grr, snorts George. George loves Mr. Dinosaur, especially now that he has nice, clean teeth.
Peppa's first sleepover. Peppa Pig is going to her very first sleepover at Zoe Zebra's house. The most important thing about a sleepover is that you must not sleep. With music, a midnight feast, and a scary story, can Peppa and her friends stay awake? Peppa is going to her very first sleepover at Zoe Zebra's house. Welcome to my sleepover, Zoe says. I'll pick you up in the morning, Mommy Pig says to Peppa with a kiss. Rebecca Rabbit, Susie Sheep, and Emily Elephant are already here. I've got my teddy, Peppa says. Zoe has her monkey. Rebecca has her carrot. Susie has her owl. And Emily has her frog. Don't stay up too late, girls, and don't be too loud. Daddy Zebra has to get up early to deliver the post, Mommy Zebra says as she turns out the lights. Zoe's baby twin sisters, Zuzu and Zaza, want to join the sleepover too. Sleepovers are only for big girls, Zoe says. The twins begin to cry. They're so sweet and little, Peppa says. Can they stay? Rebecca asks. Okay, Zoe says to the twins, but you must not fall asleep. What should we do first? Susie asks. I'm having piano lessons. Listen. Zoe starts to pound on the keys. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Mommy Zebra has woken up. Shush! You must be quiet so Daddy Zebra can sleep. Now, into your sleeping bags, please. Snort. What do we do now? Peppa asks. At sleepovers, there's always a midnight feast, Zoe says. It's when we eat things, Susie says in a hushed voice. In secret. Shh, Zoe says as she leads the girls to the kitchen. They each grab some delicious fruit, perfect for a midnight feast. The floorboard creaks. Oh no, Mommy Zebra has woken up. You will wake Daddy Zebra. Now, who knows a bedtime story? The girls take turns. Once upon a time, there was a little fairy, Susie begins, and she lived in the forest. Peppa continues. And the fairy met a big monster who went rah, Emily says with a big elephant trumpet noise. Oh dear, the noise has woken Daddy Zebra. Sorry, Daddy, Zoe says. There was a story about a fairy and a scary monster. And we want to know what happens next, Peppa says. Very well, Daddy Zebra sighs. The monster lifted up his great big hairy paws and walked along on his great big hairy feet and sang, Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Daddy Zebra sings gently as he plays the piano. Daddy Zebra's song has sent everyone to sleep. Peppa Pig's family computer. Mommy Pig is working at home on the family computer, but Peppa and George want to play Happy Mrs. Chicken. Can Daddy Pig come to the rescue and fix the frozen computer? Read more in this charming piggy tale. Mommy Pig is working on the family computer. She's typing very fast. Mommy Pig has a lot of important work to do today. Daddy Pig is in the kitchen making soup for lunch. Daddy, Peppa asks, can we go and watch Mommy on the computer, please? Yes, as long as you don't disturb her, Daddy Pig says. Mommy, Peppa asks, can George and I sit on your lap and watch your work? Yes, as long as you both sit quietly. Mommy Pig agrees. About a minute later, Peppa asks, can we play the Happy Mrs. Chicken game on the computer? Mommy Pig says, we can play Happy Mrs. Chicken later, but now I have to work. Another minute later, Peppa asks, Mommy, can we help you work? Peppa taps away at the computer like Mommy Pig. No, Peppa, Mommy says. You mustn't touch the computer while I'm working. Yes, George, Peppa says in a bossy voice. You mustn't do this. Peppa taps away again and the computer flashes. Peppa, stop, Mommy Pig says. Sorry, Mommy, Peppa says. I was just showing George what not to do. Daddy Pig, Mommy calls. Can you mend the computer while I finish the lunch? Oh, Daddy Pig says. I am not very good with these things. Daddy Pig pushes a button. Daddy Pig pushes another button. Maybe if I switch it off and switch it on again. Daddy Pig has mended the computer. Hooray, Daddy! Shouts Peppa. She and George jump up and down. Yes, Daddy Pig smiles. I'm a bit of an expert at these things. Daddy, Peppa asks, can we play that computer game, Happy Mrs. Chicken? Mommy said we could play it later, Peppa says. And now it's later. Well, Daddy Pig thinks for a moment. Okay then. Daddy Pig starts the Happy Mrs. Chicken game. Ho ho ho! Daddy Pig laughs as Peppa and George play Happy Mrs. Chicken. Snort, Mommy Pig says as she comes into the room. I see the computer is working again. The end.